What do you think churches can do that really don't have that right now, where really they do have very much that theater look, or it's sort of almost a corporate setting?
Mm-hmm.
What can churches do to sort of, without just, because I've seen some churches, they just, to get more towards sort of the sacred side of things, they'll put up a picture of the cross on the video screen.
Yeah.
Is that the answer?
Well, I think one part of the answer is remembering what does sacred mean. Normally when we say sacred, people immediately start thinking, well, it's candles, it's icons, it's cathedrals, it's sacred. The essence of sacred is to be set apart. It's different. So you have to look at your culture, your environment, the setting of your church, and ask, what's different than this? And I don't want to make a blanket statement that sacred means you do this. It means you think, what are the values and cultures that people are coming from, and how can we communicate that what happens here in this space is different, it is set apart, it is holy. And that could look a lot of different ways. And one thing that we can do is tap into the artists in our community. For 2 years, one of our congregations met at this really, really dumpy Park District building. In fact, after we left, they condemned the building. It was that nasty. And so that was a very, very challenging space to make sacred, and yet at times they really did. Using fabric, using art, rearranging the way the chairs are, somehow communicating that when you come into this place it's different. And a lot of that also comes through the way leaders and worship leaders engage that space. You communicate through your own presence whether or not this is different. So, we can get all hung up about, well, you shouldn't have coffee in the sanctuary. I'm not pro or against coffee in the sanctuary, but you got to ask, what are the values you want to be communicating? And if you really do want to communicate that this space is different and what happens here is different, and if people in your culture take coffee everywhere, well, then maybe you say, we're not going to do coffee in this space because we want it to be different. Not because there's anything wrong with coffee, but because we are, in the role of leadership, our job is to create environments for people to engage with God and transform their values. And so we might choose certain things that help do that, and that should be the guiding principles.